George.
John, thank you. Well, Tim Frank said the weather was going to be filthy for the Ryder Cup. Let's get a proper forecast from Louise Lear.
He's a brave man, isn't he? I'm not sure the Welsh would like that description. It is going to be pretty wet, actually. Change of month, change of weather type. It's going to be wet and windy. Rain moving in as we speak. It arrives really overnight tonight, and the winds will strengthen with it. A strong southerly, gusting close to gale force at times. So here it is, starting to arrive, perhaps becoming quite intense by early tomorrow morning. The good news is, with that southerly wind, it stays pretty mild overnight. Temperatures largely into double figures. So we start off on a pretty grey and wet note, particularly down in the southwest and for South Wales. That means for the Ryder Cup as well. Wet and windy weather first thing in the morning, then an improving picture a little bit later on. Wet for the Isle of Man, pretty grey, wet and windy across Northern Ireland and western fringes of Scotland. Elsewhere in Scotland, it'll start off pretty grey, pretty overcast, but dry, very windy indeed, and rain on its way for you a little later on in the afternoon. Similar story as well for much of the northeast of England. A little bit of light patchy rain ahead of it, but for the bulk of the northwest, pretty grey, wet and windy. If you get to work early on in the London area before 8 o'clock, you should escape the rain, but some of that rain along the south coast really will turn quite heavy and intense, and there are the heavier pulses across Devon and Cornwall by 8 o'clock in the morning. We could see along the south coast as much as an inch or two of rain. That's 50 millimetres of rain. The strongest of the winds transfer further north later on in the afternoon, but by early evening rush hour for the London area, very wet indeed. A lot of surface water and spray. Drier and brighter behind for Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales, 16 degrees the high. And so for the Ryder Cup, I think it'll be the battle of the weather rather than the four balls first thing in the morning, but an improving picture into the afternoon, which is certainly good news. And as we move towards the weekend, it stays pretty unsettled. There's a bit of a question mark about the southeast, but my money is on the best of the weather, perhaps on Saturday. George.
All right, Louise, thanks very much. A reminder of tonight's main news. Ireland has